Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of my paranormal experiences. So, in this episode, I would not only like to talk about the basement, but I would like to talk about, I'm going to call it the house across from the graveyard. Because even though it had a couple different apartments in this large house, it was still across from a graveyard, which made it pretty interesting. We used to always go there and hike around the graveyard and look at the names and dates, and it was pretty interesting. But I'm one that kind of likes to walk through graveyards like that. So, but anyway, um, before my second child was born, I lived with her father and his friends, and we lived down in the basement of his mother's house. Well, my boyfriend's friend's mother's house. And my boyfriend's friend would always tell us about how it was just weird down in the basement. You know, he had his room down in the basement for years, and there was always just weird things that he would see out of the corner of his eye. And there was this old canning room that a lot of older basements had a canning room in it. Well, this canning room had weird symbols on the door, and knowing what I know now, I know they were signals, they were runes, they were writing. And he said that whenever they first moved into this house, this room, on the inside of this room, all these symbols were all over the inside of this room. So his mother just packed it full of like demolition, like walls and stuff like that, because they remodeled the whole house. So they just stuck everything in that room, closed and locked the door. Nobody ever went into it. So it was just like one of those weird rooms that nobody went into. Well, being down in the basement, it just always gave you that weird feeling. They had this chihuahua, and this chihuahua would stand at the top of the basement stairs and just bark and bark and bark and bark and bark at something at the bottom of the stairs. You know, and it just always freaked us out because we were down there at the time, and there'd be times where the dog would come down and visit us, but then there'd be times where the dog would just stand at the top of the stairs and would not come down, would just bark, 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 bark. So, our rooms were on one side of the basement, and there was a bathroom on the other side of the basement where the laundry area was too. And in between the bathroom and the bedrooms, there was clothesline where, you know, you could hang your clothes up and stuff like that. Well, whatever you hung on those clotheslines would sit there and sway from time to time, with it being no wind down in the basement, no fans on, no ceiling fans, no air conditioning. You know, it's wintertime. There's like no heat vents down there. And clothes would just sway. It was really weird. And then you'd go into the bathroom and you'd feel like somebody was staring at you while you're walking to the bathroom. You seriously like sit there and run to the bathroom and run back because it felt like someone was always staring at you. Well, the one day, now mind you, the bedroom that me and my boyfriend were staying in was across the way from his friend's bedroom, and our doors were kind of catty-cornered from each other. Our room had a door on it, his room just had a shower curtain. Now, I'm standing in front of the dresser, messing around with the PlayStation, because we used our PlayStation 1, our PlayStation 1 as a CD player as well as a game system, so I was sitting there changing the CDs, And I kind of see out of the corner of my eye, the room across the way, the shower curtain kind of lifts up and goes back down like somebody walked through it. And next thing I know, my friend and my boyfriend that were in the next room were like, "Did you just do that? What do you want?" I'm like, "I didn't do that. You guys didn't just..." They're like, "No, we're sitting on the bed." I'm like, "I'm standing here in front of the dresser." So we just kind of looked out. They kind of looked out the door at me, and I kind of looked at the door. We kind of met each other in a hallway. We was kind of like, did we all just really see that shower curtain move like that? I mean, it literally looked like somebody brushed it off to the side, walked through, and let it back down. So yeah, that was like the oddest thing from there. And then me and the boyfriend moved into the house across from the cemetery. Now, the way our apartment was set up, it was sort of like a trailer. How a trailer would have one long hallway that went through all the rooms. Well, there was one long hallway that went like through all the rooms, but it was separated by doors. So we had the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom, and then the two bedrooms. Mine and my boyfriend's bedroom, and then our daughter's bedroom. Oh, there was a door in my daughter's bedroom that led to the outside, led to the parking lot area. And then the main door for the apartment was in the living room that led to the common area where the mailboxes were, and, the stairwell to the other apartments upstairs. And it was just a common area. So there was a lot of times where me and my boyfriend would be sitting there, and we had this open door policy because we had a lot of friends at that time that would just stop by and hang out, and they would leave. Well, we would hear the back door in our daughter's room open up, and it was one of those just metal screen doors that would slam whenever it was shut, because the spring was real tight, so it would slam whenever it shut. So we would hear it open up and shut, and we'd hear people come down the wooden floor, because there was a wooden floor in our room, and then there was linoleum in the kitchen. So we would hear them walk across the wood floor, then we would hear them, come across the linoleum, and me and him would look, at the doorway between the kitchen and the living room, expecting somebody to walk through, and nobody ever would. So the first time it happened to us, we were like, okay, maybe they went to the bathroom or something. So we got up, went throughout the whole apartment, nobody was there. So from then on out, we just kind of heard it, and we just kind of would look at each other and be like, well, it's the ghost again. I mean, how else are you going to explain hearing that? I mean, it was just an obvious sequence of the door opening, footprints coming all the way through, and then nothing. Well, we were telling our friends about this, and they never believed us. They were just like, yeah, okay, whatever, And lo and behold, one day they were all over. The boys were playing video games, us girls were just sitting there talking, bullshitting. And the door opens, shuts. Everyone's like, oh, I wonder who's here. And we start hearing footsteps coming down the hallway, and our friends all get up and look. There's nobody there. They're like, oh my God, you guys were telling the truth. This honestly happens. We were like, we told you. This stuff happens. And I caught some rather interesting pictures in that apartment as well. I don't know if I can pin them in here. I might be able to. I'll try to put that picture in here. But there was a picture taken over my shoulder. That should have had the top of my head and my daughter, because I was sitting there playing with her. So it kind of has her kind of laying, you know, she was like 5, 6 months old. She was just kind of laying there, and I'm just sitting there, you know, playing with her. But this picture, on the one whole corner, is black and gray and white. Well, if you look at the gray area, you can actually see a face. I mean, full detail. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, the chin, the ears. The eyebrows. You can make out the whole face. And it was just always a pretty interesting picture to, you know, show to people, because it was like, yeah, I caught this in the house. So, as I was saying in my very first video I made, sometimes it's not the houses you live in. Sometimes it's you that attract the entities and the energy. And sometimes you're like a magnet to these things. So I'm not trying to say every place I lived in was haunted. But if you look at it like this, energy is all around us. Energy will always be around us. It's just who can accept that energy and understand that it is there. That's who they come to the most. So, with that being said, my next video I'm going to talk about is going to be the duplex that me, my husband, and our 3 children moved into after we moved out of the apartment complex. So, if you want to hear about that story, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Share this video, like it, comment. And as always, peace, love, and happiness. And I'll see you guys soon.